And that's what people have turned around and said, oh, there's much more melody on this album. Well, no, that's actually not true. There's just the same amount of melody as there were on all the other previous albums. It's just that you can hear them on this album.
On this one, the engineer was awake.
Yeah, no, I mustn't say that about Martin, otherwise he'll be in here karate chopping the door down.
There's Bruce Dickinson. Bruce, welcome.
Hello. Yes, nice to be here.
Nice to hear that. Nice that you chose that.
I was a bit worried. I hadn't heard it for so long. I thought, wow, I wonder what this is going to sound like. But it sounded great. I mean, when you think that it was written 14 years ago, probably 15 years ago, nearly. And the stuff that's in it, the lyrical stuff that's in it, is exactly what's going on now. Probably will be the same in 100 years. Amazing.
He's a fellow who's a very clever writer, Ian Anderson, isn't he? He's a real image maker.
Yeah, I was always, when I first started singing, I liked that I thought, well, my voice isn't really like him, but I admire the lyrics he wrote tremendously, and I thought, wouldn't it be nice to have kind of singing style that could take on that kind of intensity of lyrics and match that with all the the screaming and shouting and yelling of, of the heavy rock sort of thing that was going around with like the Purples and Sabbaths and everything that was going down in those days. And his one of the first bands I was in, Speed, I used to wear this thing that looked a bit reminiscent. He used to wear an old overcoat or something.
That's right.
And twirl his flute around and generally looked manic. So I figured that the only way to be if you were a singer was manic, and I couldn't get into standing there like a cabaret star. So him and Arthur Brown were the two people that I suppose inspired the manicness on stage the most, I imagine. I saw him actually at the Marillion show.
Milton
Keynes, and they were absolutely superb.
Yeah, the set was great.
It was amazing. I mean, just incredible. So much feel and soul, and just great music.
What are we going to see this time? I say see this time when you're on tour, because I believe you've done quite a lot of changes to the stage show. And everybody, I mean, to go to an Iron Maiden concert, I know because I get the letters, right? The letters of appreciation about, from people who've seen you. Yeah. It's as much to see as it is to hear.
Well, that's the way it should be, really. If you want to go and listen to an Iron Maiden concert and just sort of listen, then you just kind of put on a pair of blinkers. But to me, a concert is like a total experience. There's no way you can divorce yourself from the fact that you're sitting with lots of other people who are all excited, and there's an atmosphere there. And if you can leap around and generally go crazy and entertain people and make them feel different things through visual things as well, that complements the music, then I think it really helps. I think it gives not just more value for money, obviously it does, but I think it really helps the concert to be a memorable thing. It's nice to be able to talk about a concert a few weeks, months, whatever, down the line. I still get people talking about the Number of the Beast tour that we did in America, and we were only supporting people. And people can't speak, I remember that was like a historic tour. And I'm going, yeah, but we were like, just a few old boxers, black boxers on stage, and I was leaping around. Yeah, but the atmosphere was great. I was going, oh, maybe it was, it was just a hangover at the time. It was a very crazy tour for us.
How are you going to change it visually, your presentation? Are you going to change it radically?
Well, I don't think we ever change things. Well, to us, it's radical.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's like a degree of. I mean, we're not going to come on with like shaved heads and bones through our ear rolls and stuff like that. But there's a limit to the amount of radical change we're prepared to go to, because we quite like the way we are, basically.
So does the audience.
Exactly. So we're quite happy with that. But we were thinking, well, maybe the stage show on Power Slave was it was a very theatrically realistic kind of show. It was like almost like a little miniature film set, and that was very nice. It was very good for then. But everybody now is kind of carting medieval castles around with them, and so rather than take most of northern Scotland around with us on the tour, we thought we'd clean up our act a little bit and go a bit more high tech and still keep a lot of depth in terms of the effects, but maybe make them a little bit less historical and everything. And that goes with the album Somewhere in Time. And Eddie Stuck in the Future is kind of like a half Terminator, $6 million Eddie type robot thing, going around being a general Clint Eastwood anti-hero, wandering around the universe, doing for people, good or evil, for no particular reason.
Just because he wants to.
Because it's there,
Exactly. Somewhere in Time is the album title. This is the album track. And we're having a chat about nothing in general, so let's talk about football.
Oh, yes.
Because you're noted, you and the rest of them are noted as football freaks. So indeed, of course, are Deep Purple.
Yes.
They love a game of football.
Yes.
Is it because you feel that you need the exercise to keep going on stage? Or does it just get you out of the pub?
No, I think it's mainly to get down the pub, actually. I think, if anything, everybody's more knackered after the game of football than before. But in truth, actually, the real soccer maniac, I think everybody knows about those is Steve, because he was a West Ham junior when he was like under 16 or something. And it was a choice, I think, between soccer and music and everything. I think he felt that he didn't really want to live like a monk for the period of time that he would have had to have done, and train and not drink and not have any social life and everything.
Sure.
And at the end of all that, there's still no guarantee that you're actually going to get anywhere. So he went into music instead. And, well, I'm rather glad he did. But nevertheless, that he keeps on that connection. And in fact, Ozzy, our promoter in Germany, was in a similar situation. He was a professional footballer, or on the verge of being a professional footballer, and had a knee injury or something. Mm-hmm. Blackmore is the nutcase in Purple.
Loves it.
Absolutely loves it. In fact, we got a very strange set of regulations. We played a game against Rainbow and beat them instantly.
Getting a knife in.
When Rainbow were around. Richie's actually a good player.
He is a good footballer.
Very good soccer. Bit of a goal hanger. But I think it is maybe because I think he knows that, maybe one or two teams would like to nobble him a bit.
This is true. Like to give his knees a bit of a pasting.
That's right. But he's actually quite nippy on his feet. Very good. But no, we beat them, and he issued various strange instructions, like in the event of any decision being given against Rainbow, one severe blow to the head or neck of the referee was to be donated, plus one severe blow to the head or neck of any promoter who happened to be standing around in the vicinity. Yeah. Long-suffering Swedish promoter, Eric Thompson, E.T., the famous man who was hoisted by his ankle, stripped naked from the lighting truss, suspended by gaffer tape, had his eyebrows burnt off, had all his hair burnt off.
I must get in this business. It sounds the warm and wonderful world of rock and roll.
Yes. Get ready to dance, everybody, yeah. Rock Commander is a celebration of rock and metal culture. Manage your own rock bands, connect with a passionate community, and experience exclusive collaborations with real bands like American Chaos and Adam and the Metal Hawks.
Listening to the new album, I honestly, I think it's great. You sound sometimes like Gillan.
On this one, yeah.
You really, really do.
Yeah, it's weird that we changed the microphone. I don't know if he'd been using it or what. The songs, you see, the strange thing was that I wrote a load of songs for the album, and they all ended up sounding like that Jethro Tull track, Wandering Aloud. So I thought, well, this isn't really, not really Iron Maiden fodder, although we're all big fans of that kind of music, Adrian and Steve ended up writing, the bulk of the material.
Right. And
so I just went in and sang it, and, well, it just happened to sound like one of my favourite bands, so I thought, this is great, and Martin was producing it, and everybody was very pleased with the singing. In fact, we did all the vocals in 5 days for the whole album. We did everything, backing vocals and a lot. So if it sounds a bit reminiscent, then I suppose it just maybe because I just want to sound a bit like that.
I think it's down to the style of the writing. The writing's changed.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more. Sometimes it's a little bit more straight ahead, you know, than some of the other stuff. But on the other hand, there's moments on the album where I think it goes really AWOL. I mean, particularly on tracks like Alexander the Great, where there's a bit in the middle there that's like beyond jazz. I mean, I don't know where it is.
Well, it's a bit at the front with the geezer doing the chatting.
Yeah, well, there's that bit, but there's a guitar part that goes over the. There's a bit in 7/8 or something, and then above the bit in 7/8, there's another bit that's in no time signature that we can actually. If somebody can figure out what time signature it's in, could they please write and tell us? Because we spent hours. We took it apart on drum computers, and we had put it into computers and tried to analyze it, and still couldn't come up with what it was. And finally, we got a human being to play it. I don't think even he knows how.
And he hasn't been seen since.
Adrian hasn't been the same since. You know, it's an interesting album. There's a bit more bluesy kind of things on it than anything we had in the past, which is nice because from what I used to do in Samson and stuff before, it was more of a Samson was, I suppose, more of a blues-based sort of thing than Maiden was.
Yep.
And Maiden gave me the chance to fire up a bit of the old operatic type vocals and more of the, heavy metal stuff. But I think the people have to remember that the music basically all comes from the blues, and it was all, reworkings of blues music and blues progressions and things like that.
On different time signatures.
Yeah, and different things. And then Purple came in and slung in all the classical organ bits and nicked a few bits off Bach and chucked them in.
Sure.
And then the whole hodgepodge came out, and then along out of the whole process came Maiden, which was absolutely ferocious with, this like very, very prominent bass and drums sound. And I think maybe it's come full circle because now we're starting to experiment a bit more in the blues area, and so it just seems appropriate to sing things like that, I mean, I like it. I think the album's great, and the vocals do sound, I suppose, a bit different to the previous Maiden things, but that's about right. I mean, after doing 4 or 5 albums, I think it's a good thing that they sound really a bit different to the previous Maiden.
There's so much intensity in that record. Is it the intensity of the record that you like? I mean, it's just, I love that record.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love everything about it, from even the early, like, production and everything, and everything, the brass section, especially his voice. I mean, just his voice alone carries the record. I've never heard anybody do an adequate cover of that song. It's like one of those songs that you just cannot cover. You could never ever do a better version.
Like Wider Shade of Pale.
Yeah,
that
can't.
Gary Brooker, and that's it. Nobody else sing it.
You can't do that. But I've got most of his records. I saw him when I was about 16, and he didn't set his hair on fire on that particular occasion.
Right.
But he did this such a weird show, and it was like being part of somebody's nightmare at the time. It was just so weird and out there. And I spent a few months trying to figure out what had actually happened and what had been going on. So I went out and bought a few of his records, which were quite hard to find, even more hard to find now. That single is from the Crazy World of Arthur Brown first album that he brought out.
Yeah.
And that side, one of the sides of the record is actually a concept side about a man's descent into hell, right? And he doesn't figure out what's happening to him until he actually gets to this big door, and all the time before he's going, "Why is it so cold in here?" And it's Arthur, going, "Oh, I feel really cold and lonely, and nobody's talking to me, and everything's weird colours, and then he comes to the door and goes, "Wonder what's behind this door?" Click. "I am the god of hellfire." And there's Arthur playing the devil.
Yeah.
So you know, that's always interested me, because I don't know if there were any actual albums of that nature before that period. Certainly an album that was conceived in that form before '69. You know.
Well, I'm just trying to go back. There was the Pretty Things Who Did Parachute, which is way before that. They said was the first ever concept album.
Yeah.
It was the first, which of course is probably not true. But
I mean, actually, the first ever concept albums were like classical things, like the Ring Cycle and Wagner and all that sort of stuff. But that's where Arthur. I once heard him described as a Wagnerian tenor voice, and that's what he is. If you wanted somebody to go and play God or something, you phone up Arthur. How's he playing Jesus again today? But to have a voice like that is just such an incredible. Even when he was talking, even when he addressed an audience, he didn't actually talk. He sort of issued forth statements on stage. You know, like he'd go, "Peace on earth," and people go, "Wow, yeah."
I'll have some of that.
Clutching a can of Fanta on a Mars bar at the time. But he was what we used to do at the age of 15 or 16 in those days.
Did the fact that he was a man who had created, all right, this concept, which you can remember, did the fact that it was a concept influence you? Because Iron Maiden, in many ways, has been a concept.
Yeah, there's always been a link, however loose, between all the covers, certainly, and between all the stage shows and all the eddies and everything. And there are little threads that follow. Like, for example, we did The Prisoner on Number of the Beast track, and then we had Back in the Village like 2 or 3 albums later, which is like a return to the village, a return to this guy's nightmare. And there's always been a thread of songs about the paranormal, the unusual, the unexplained, dreams, weird and wonderful little Edgar Allan Poe type stories, you know, where reality and fantasy are confused, and at the end you never quite know which is which. So that's an influence that comes through with everybody, really, I think. It's very strong with me because I was like Arthur Brown and Van de Graaff Generator. In fact, I was talking to Fish the other day, and it turns out we're both manic Peter Hamill fans, you know, so we both get our razor blades out and start cutting bits of each other and going, "Isn't it miserable and depressing? Isn't it great?" You know,
flame yourself alive.
That's right. Steve was always very, very, very big Peter Gabriel and Genesis fan, and particularly that whole era. You know, anything before Lamb Lies Down, up to and including Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and everything, and the solo albums since.
There's lots of influences.
There are lots of influences. A lot of people don't realise
because the music is so fast.
Yeah,
which it is. It's so fast and aggressive and accurate, like an Uzi machine gun, right?
Yes, that's very good.
A lot of people don't see beneath that, but there's a lot of subtlety.
Yeah, on this record particularly, it's come out because we've had a little bit longer to make this record. We didn't actually spend longer in the studio, but we spent longer gaps in between doing bits, so we had more time to think. Maybe we could put this bit in, maybe we could put that bit in, let's change things around.
Yes.
And we experimented with recording it in 2 different studios and mixing it in a third, which gave us like a different set of ears on the music. And that's what people have turned around and said, "Oh, there's much more melody on this album." Well, no, that's actually not true. There's just the same amount of melody as there were on all the other previous albums. It's just that you can hear them on this album.
On this one, the engineer was awake.
Yeah, no, I mustn't say that about Martin, otherwise he'll be in there karate chopping the door down. But some of the other albums were recorded, I think, obviously under a lot of pressure, because it was end of one tour. Right, you've got 4 weeks to write it, 8 weeks to record it, 2 weeks to mix it.
Then off you go again.
Yeah, then off you on the road. And I'm very proud that we managed, after Number of the Beast, which was a big breakthrough album for us, to come out with Peace of Mind, which was very different. And and then to come out with Power Slave, which I think was different again, not maybe as different from Peace of Mind as Peace of Mind was from Number of the Beast. But then after a 6-month break, we come up to this one, which is different again. It's like a new beginning for us.
It's a progression.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Otherwise, we'll all pack our bags and go home.
Or pack your bags and go and play football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Asked me to play a Peter Gabriel track. Now, you've mentioned that that Steve likes Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
Right. He found Gabriel to be influential. And in fact, let's face it, I mean, thousands of people worldwide have. Thousands of competent and professional and now successful musicians have, I think. But what is it that is likable about Peter Gabriel? Is it the fact that at least he takes chances? Which
Yeah,
he does.
He does. He takes a lot of chances. He doesn't do things gratuitously.
Mm.
He doesn't. If he has a success, he has a successful album or something like that. As far as I can make out from his, following his career. I mean, I'm actually more of a fan of his solo work than I am of the stuff he did with Genesis.
Yes.
With Steve, it's probably the other way around. He's more of a fan of stuff he did with Genesis, but likes his solo work. I actually like his solo work better. But either way, he doesn't seem to have rested on his laurels at any stage, for the sake of, I've got a successful album here, let's do a quick tour, and then let's bang out another album.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, his albums are pretty slow in coming, but when they do come, there's usually something pretty special on them, and each one of his albums had something very special. I mean, obviously he's had the big breakthrough now with Sledgehammer and the #1 single in America.
And now the video being the greatest video in the world and all that stuff.
Yeah, but which I think actually was fairly justified. It wasn't incredible. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
That took a lot of work.
But he's always made great videos. I mean, Shock the Monkey was absolutely, that was a stunning video. That was, and I've always liked Gabriel because he's always used a lot of symbolism, a lot of imagery. I remember first. Not this particular track, actually. It's the opening track on the album, Intruder. And I was with a girlfriend a long while back. I was in Samson, and the album had just come out, and I sort of like went round to her flat. We were like sitting on the bed, and the curtains were drawn. It was a summer evening. You just see a little chink of light coming through. And she went, "You've got to listen to this album." And she was She was a Buddhist, that's right, and she just like finished chanting, started a couple of candles going. Sounds very Neil, this at the moment, very young ones, but true story. And she put this track on. It starts off with like creaking bed springs, and again the production on this album took a lot of chance. Creaking bed springs, aerosol sprays, bicycle wheels with pencils being tapped against them. No cymbals on the entire album, which was like no cymbals. The whole thing done with drums. And it was just so eerie. It's about this intruder that comes in, and it's just about creaking on the floorboards and coming in. And the production was so strange. It's like having somebody whispering in your ear. It shivers right up my spine. And, well, that was it. We just had to go down the pub.
When you hear somebody like that, do you ever feel that their talent is unachievable? Do you ever, I mean, sometimes I listen to disc jockeys, right? And I think, I wish it was that good. I really wish I could do that. That voiceover was great, I wish I could do that now.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Do you, when you hear some singers, think, God, I don't think I'll ever be able to be as good as that, but I must keep on trying?
I think with singing, it's such a strange thing, because there's two aspects to it. There's like in any singing part, there's a technical part, which is just doing the words and singing the notes. And then in a lot of ways, there's a more important part, which is the emotional part, the meaning that you bring to the lyric, the extra something that you you bring to that particular song. And there's not really a finger you can put on it, because you can look at Peter Gabriel and say, well, he does that absolutely great, because it probably means something to him personally that I'll never experience, that I can't experience what made him write that lyric. So I can never sing that song like him. That's his song, It's like when Ozzy sings like Paranoid or something like that. That's his song. And there's millions of singers all around the world who can sing it technically, but it's Ozzy's song, and it'll always be Ozzy's song. And nobody else can do that song. And I've heard people, we often go into Iron Maiden, we often go into like a bar or something, we hear somebody doing like Number of the Beast or The Trooper or something. And Steve turned to me once, he says, yeah, he goes, better than we are. And I went, yeah, you're probably right. And the thing is, though, that it's still something. It still sounds like wearing somebody else's shoes, wearing somebody else's clothes.
Then what is of all the songs you've recorded with Iron Maiden, the inevitable question, what is your song?
What's my song? Wow. I probably have to go back, flick back through feelings that I felt for Revelations, I would think, which is a song I did for Peace of Mind, which I ended up writing, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, it's not necessarily just because I wrote it, but that song is sort of melodically anyway, as far as I was concerned, it was related to a song I did in Samson years back that was called Communion, which was I suppose from that era, was like a song that I felt very close to, because it was the last song I ever recorded in the studio with them. I didn't know that at the time, because we'd just done the Shock Tactics album, so I recorded that in the studio with them, and it was like, great chaps, we've done the album. Well, as it turned out, it was the last song I was ever going to record, and the irony of it was it was a song about growing old and about passing up, about leaving things, and still retaining the same mental fire that you have all the way through your life.
But moving on.
But moving on, even though sometimes your body decides it's going to quit and pack up on you and fall apart. And particularly with singers, because I think singers are people who, not necessarily even through abuse or something, voices fall apart. I mean, and as you get older, your voice changes inevitably. It's not the same voice when it's, 27 as when it's 17. I mean, mine isn't. And anybody who says it is a fool, because they're wrong. And you can hear it. And there are those people who try to. I mean, I think mine's weathered pretty well. I mean, it's still stronger. In many ways, I prefer it now much more to the way it was when I was 17 or 18, when it was nervous and jumpy and it could scream and shout a lot, but couldn't say anything. Now I feel I can say things with my voice and communicate more. There's still a lot of things that I can't say. There's still a lot of songs I can't sing, and it's not because I can't sing the notes. It's because I just can't. I can feel that thing, but I can't express it through my voice. And I've got no doubt there's probably other singers of like love song type things who come along and they say, go and sing this heavy metal song. They go, whoa,
that's right.
So it's your own. It's a product of your own personality, your own times, what you went through, what you listened to, and I think you should always look to. It's like an actor, You should always look to like expand your range, but still sort of be yourself. Still keep it within, not necessarily just copy it, not steal from other people, but take what you feel you can express, and that's the way you grow.
I suppose that is the great advantage of time and experience, isn't it? Both of which you had.
Well, I've been doing it for about, I suppose, not that long by comparison with a lot of other people. I've been doing it about 10 years now, most of which has been 8 years of which has been non-stop.
Solid on the road.
Solid gigging, touring, recording, gigging, touring, recording. As a matter of fact, funnily enough, I find that the experiences you draw on when you're writing songs, for me anyway, relate almost entirely to things that happen when you're not gigging, touring, and recording. So you have to be. I think that's one of the reasons maybe in Maiden we write a lot of songs about books, films, plays, dreams, weird and wonderful things, because most childhood experiences have already got plundered on the first 2 or 3 albums that everybody's done. I mean, I've plundered all my childhood experiences and first loves lost. You know, what a swine I was, but I don't regret it. You know, and the first couple of Samson albums.
But then you think about it the other way around. You've plundered, you say, your experiences, your childhood experiences, your plundering of your childhood experiences, and your lyrics and the way you performed have now become part of the childhood experiences of others.
Yeah, sure, but is that everything, you know, everything changes, everything stays the same. I can't say it in French.
Not gonna.
Not gonna.
I have to say this, we run out of time.
Yeah.
Good luck on the tour. I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah.
So to countless thousands of people in this country.
It's great, honestly. It's a mind-numbing, mind-boggling, mind-scorching spectacle.
And always remember that there's never been a bad one to date anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that. The single is Wasted Years. Bruce Dickinson, thanks.
Thanks very much.